Hello, my name is Major Lewis, and this is my international relations project on the United States-Russia nuclear arms race. The beginning of the arms race. The arms race was sort of a competition between the United States and the Soviet Union to see who was better and who was more technologically advanced when it came to nuclear warfare. The arms race was also one of the most alarming features of the Cold War competition. Early arms race / creation of the atomic bombs through like 1945 to 1962. In 1945, the United States conducted the first atomic bomb test in Los Alamos, New Mexico, which was a accumulation of the Manhattan Project. Days later, President Harry Truman informed Soviet Union leader Joseph Stalin that the United States would be going to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While in 1949 the Soviet Union exploded its first nuclear weapon at a test range in Kazakhstan, the United States thought the Soviet Union couldn't create this technology for another 3 years. The United States thought that the Soviets couldn't create it for 3 more years, which was an advantage for them because the arms race was kind of a competition between like who's gonna make the first atomic bomb first or who's gonna advance the nukes as possible, and the United States was kind of surprised by that. Just continued on through that in 1952, the next generation of bombs were created in the United States, and the Soviets raced to develop the next class of weapons known as thermonuclear or hydrogen bombs. The United States started testing these bombs in 1952, while the Soviets started in 1955. In October 1957, the Soviet Union conducts the world's first successful test of an intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM), seen as a threat to striking U.S. territory, and days later, a modified version of the rocket launcher Sputnik. This makes the United States leader nervous, and they finally create their ICBM in 1958, also with the creation of nukes. The Cuban Missile Crisis and Limited Test Ban Treaty in 1962 to 1963. Cold War tensions nearly spill over into a nuclear conflict when, in 1962, U.S. reconnaissance flights revealed that Soviets constructed a secret missile basis in Cuba. President John F. Kennedy warns Moscow of a full retaliatory response if they launch an attack from Cuba and any of the countries of the Western Hemisphere. After a 30-day standoff, the Soviets agreed to withdraw its missiles. In exchange, the U.S. publicly pledges to not invade Cuba and to withdraw the United States missiles from Turkey. After years of on and off again negotiations, the Soviet Union, United Kingdom, and the United States agreed to ban nuclear explosions in the atmosphere, outer space, and underwater to significantly restrict underground testing. Limited Test Ban Treaty shows the nuclear international concerns about nuclear warfare. The 10 assault to and invasion of Afghanistan. In the late 1960s, early 1970s, a general thawing of the U.S.-Soviet Union relations ushering in a hopeful era of nuclear arms control, which becomes most apparent in the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, or SALT. In June 1979, the United States and the Soviet Union signed a SALT II agreement that would have placed further limits on their nuclear weapons and to launch platforms including strategic bombers and new treaty bans. 1981 through current. Zero options start and perishing. In its first year, the Ronald Reagan administration focused on modernizing the United States strategic nuclear arsenal and accelerating a general military buildup. However, in November, President Ronald Reagan presents the Soviet Union with a so-called zero option in which all Soviet and United States intermediate-range nuclear missiles would be removed from installations around the world. The following June, Reagan proposes a Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or START, which seeks deep cuts in warhead counts and delivery vehicles. Soviet concerns are heightened as NATO begins to deploy upgraded perishing missiles in Western Europe. End of the Cold War and a new start. U.S.-Soviet disarmament talks accelerate after the fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9th, 1989, which marks the beginning of the end of the Cold War and communism in Europe. In July 1991, the collapse of the Soviet Union just months away. U.S. George H.W. Bush and Gorbachev signed the START Treaty. In 2009, President Barack Obama looks to set a new tone for U.S. engagement, with the world giving a series of high-profile foreign policy addresses in Prague, Cairo, and Moscow. He claimed that the United States had a moral responsibility to lead the world in nuclear disarmament and pledges to negotiate a new strategic weapons reduction in Moscow. Current day. In 2021, the United States and Russia extended the START program for another 5 years, so there is nothing really happening between the United States and Russia with the arms race right now. There's still, current like tension, I guess, but it's not to do with nukes. But that was my project. Thank you for listening. My name is Major Lewis, and I hope you have a good day.